Hi everyone, Jackie here, and today we're going to be making two-tone jello shots. So these are jello shots made with two different colours just to give it that extra pizzazz and sparkle for an upcoming party that I'm going to be having. The guests love these, they're an absolute treat. I highly recommend making them if you want to have that showstopper at your party. Let's go. So first off, I'm starting with this Hartley's strawberry jelly, and this is a solid form of jelly that you just mix with hot water. So here we have the instructions where I need to add half a pint of boiling water and stir it until dissolved. Now this is for the whole packet, but I'm going to be using 2 packets of jello here, and I've estimated how much I'm going to need for my jello shots, so I'm actually going to be using half of these. So these are some of my glasses that I have that I'm going to be putting them in. This is my solid glass. I don't have too many of these, but they're absolutely gorgeous, so I'm going to be using those. And then I've also got the single-use jello shots, which come in lovely colours, which are very exciting. Not as eco-friendly, but I have got some old ones that I'm going to be reusing as well, and I'm going to try reuse these a little bit if I can. So I have my jug here and I filled it up with 1/4 of a pint of water because I'm only going to be using half the packet of that strawberry jello, and then I'm also going to be using half a packet of the raspberry jello, and that will make up that half pint that I need for the amount of jello to go in my jello shots. You need to make sure you're doing your maths right here, otherwise you will have too little or too much jello. So I'm just taking out the solid lumps of this and then I'm going to split it in half and just put the packet away to the side. It'll hopefully last quite a while, I think. It's jello, it's mostly sugar and gelatin, so it should be good. But yeah, tearing this open is quite fun to get your hands in there. I think when you use the whole packet, you don't necessarily have to tear it up, but tearing it into each individual cubes does help it dissolve better. So I would recommend doing this anyway. And it's quite a good fun process. I would recommend having a go. Making jello is quite a good time. While I leave that to dissolve, I've got an egg carton and I want to show you my plan for what I'm going to do to get the jello shots to look extra exciting. So I essentially didn't want to just stack the two different two tones on top of each other. I wanted to have this lean-in look, so you would get like a layered effect with an angle in it. So I was planning to put them into the egg carton like this and also in each of the egg holes. And I had a metal straw and I was like, I could probably lean them like that as well to get it on the other side. So I can get more jello shots in here with that look. And then any of the ones that I can't lean, I can just have the two-tone look on top of them. So that's the plan. So now that my jello has dissolved a little bit, I'm just going to give it a stir. I think you're meant to continually stir it the whole time, but I just left it to sit for a little while. I think you need to make sure you have really hot water though to help it dissolve quicker. So I'm just getting all of the little shot glasses out, and as you can see, I've got quite fun colours, and I think this is just going to add to the excitement of how the jello looks. And this is the vodka that I'm going to be using. It's a fairly cheap one. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I think I kind of bought a bad one, but we're not going to put too much in the jello shot, so that should be okay. So these blue shot glasses, I've decided I'm going to make them non-alcoholic jelly shots as well, because I have quite a few friends who don't drink. So I want to cater for them as well. So those ones are going to be non-alcoholic, and then all the other colours I'm just going to make alcoholic. So let's give that a stir, and then it looks like it's almost dissolved now. This does take quite a while. But yeah, I'm not going to be adding very much vodka to this just because it makes them taste bad. And I did actually used to have a flatmate who made them like insanely high amount of vodka, like very little water, and it makes them very hard to set. But not only that, people didn't want them. They were disgusted by the jello shots. They were more of a threat than a treat, and I don't really want that. I want people to want to enjoy the jello shots and take them and be excited for them because that's what they're meant to be. They're meant to be this exciting, fun shot made of jelly, not some horrible alcoholic monstrosity. So we're not going to add too much vodka into these, but they will have a little bit of it. And yeah, these blue ones are going to be non-alcoholic. So I'm going to do these first with just the water in the jello, and then we'll add the vodka later for all of the other colours. But because we're not going to be adding too much vodka, there won't be too much difference in the recipe anyway. So it should be fine. And also the vodka, I think, is very bad, so I don't want too much of that in here. So I decided it was actually probably not a good idea to try that lean-in process I was going to try. Instead, I decided to just use the egg carton as a tray and I was going to lean it on its side slightly. So I think this should achieve the same thing without the risk of the jello shots falling back into those holes. The other carton on the other side, though, that was absolutely fine to still do this lean-in technique. I think it was just the egg carton holes just didn't really work as I planned for them to work, sadly. And then I've also got this little ramekin that I was just going to put the others in. And I don't know if I'm going to lean those or not. I think it might be a little bit of a challenge, so I might just leave it like this, but we'll see once I've got them all filled up. So I've just added some cold water to this. So this is for the non-alcoholic ones. So I'm just filling these up halfway, and then I'll be able to add the raspberry flavor on top of these. So that's the plan for it. But yeah, I would recommend bringing each one up to the jug as well, because I tried to fill it at that level and it was just gonna pour absolutely everywhere. So now that I've done all of the blue ones, I'm just adding in a splash of vodka. It's really not very much at all, maybe like 50 milliliters at most. So a very small amount, but it should just give like a very light little kick to the vodka shots rather than an overwhelming taste. And then just mixing that in, and then that's ready to go in the jello shots as well. And we're just pouring these up halfway again. And I think if I don't lean this, I will get like a good two-toned look with the flat rather than the angled, and I can kind of compare them. But I wanted to see if I could angle them on the side, because I just think the angle look better, and it might not work out, so we'll see. But yeah, so that's all of the jello shots filled halfway. You can see my little mason jar glasses are looking really cute, and these other ones that I have too. And the colourful ones just look, they're just so cute. Yeah, the colourful containers, they're just so pretty. You kind of do need those ones that you can throw away. But I will try reuse them. But I don't think you're meant to reuse plastic too many times. And we're going to try lean them. And these ones are slightly lean, so the central two are flat. But I've tried to lean the other ones, and this one kind of just has a less of an angle, so they might look good, but I'm not really sure. I think the ones that are more leaned will look better. So anyway, now that they're ready, this is how we're going to lean them in the fridge. And that should cause that angle. And you can see how like they're kind of tilting. And I think the more I tilt them, the larger that lean will be. But yeah, this is what we're going for. So the angle should look like that, and it'll hopefully be set. And then when we put the other color on top, we'll have that nice diagonal line through it. And I think this one's going to look absolutely amazing once it's done. So yeah, look at how cute it is. And then yeah, when we lean it like that, we're going to get the angle in there. And I think these ones I'm just going to lean in the fridge like that. But yeah, this is it all loaded up in the fridge. So those ones are leaning against the egg carton. It's got a really nice shape to it on the lean. And these ones also have quite a good lean with my straw pants. Some of them have fallen over though, and yeah, I've had a bit of a jello leak. It's a bit of a messy idea. I think leaning them against the egg cartons was a lot better, but I could only really do that with the glass ones. These plastic ones were going to fall over anyway. It was a little bit of chaos, but it was just setting up each individual jello shot to have that lean in the fridge like that. But that one's got an insane lean, so that one should hopefully come out. But yeah, you can see how much they've leaked. It was not, yeah, this is not easy, this process. I recommend. There's probably better ways to do it. But yeah, the lean on the glass one going very well and hasn't leaked yet. And then this is the egg carton. So I've just put a container, a bottle underneath the egg carton, and that's given me that lean. And it's quite aggressive. And I think this is actually one of the better systems. Like, there was no leaks on this side. So I'm hoping that'll turn out well. The lean is a little bit less aggressive in the egg carton though. So I don't know if that was the best approach to go with. So yeah, once you've got them all set up in the fridge, it's time to leave them to set. So this is them all set. It literally took a day. It took so long for these to set. But as you can see, it's finally holding its shape. When I was checking a few hours in, which is how long they're meant to take, it did not set. And I think it's probably because on the packet they don't account for you having alcohol in there. The blue ones did set slightly quicker, but it did still just take a long time. I may have used too much water, and that might be why this has happened. So make sure you get your measurements right, and maybe you need more jello if you're going to be adding alcohol. But now that these are set, we're ready for the next layer. So I'm just getting all of these out of the fridge, and then we're going to mix up our next jello. But yeah, this one's very tiny. As you can see, a lot leaked and some of it's stuck to the container. So I'm just going to wipe that off. And yeah, so that one's going to be very aggressively the other color. The ones that didn't leak, like this one, has got like less of a lean as well, but we can add quite a lot of the other color in there still. And this one has a little bit of lean. So actually, I've got very inconsistent jello shots, so every single one is unique. That's clearly what we were going for. So I've got my jug again, and this time we've got the raspberry Harley's jelly. So we're going to do the exact same process here, just open it up and take out half of that, separate it into cubes again, and then mix it with the water. I'm going to use less water this time though, because I'm hoping that'll help it set a bit quicker if we've got a higher jelly ratio. I'm not going to use a crazy less water, and the hot water I'm still going to use the same for that. It's just when we top up to that secondary amount of water to cool it, ready for the jello shot pour in. That's when I'm going to add another one. For this one as well, I think because the jello is quite hot when you've added the water, you want to give it a bit of time to cool, because even adding that cold water in there is still really a bit hot. So I'm just doing my non-alcoholic jello shots first, so back to the blue ones, and I'm just filling these near to the top but I want to make sure I still have enough Jello, and because I've used less water this time around, I do have slightly less than before. It shouldn't be an issue because I think I filled the first load up quite a lot, although we did have some leakages. So we'll have to get going on that. So I'm just filling up my blue ones, and then we're going to add a little bit of the vodka again. And I'm just adding around the same amount as I did last time, just a splash of it. Just to make sure that, again, we aren't overpowering one layer of the Jello shot because this is the top layer as well, so we definitely don't want that to be too spiky for people because it will put them off eating the whole Jello shot. So just trying to keep that consistent. But yeah, this is the fully filled up Jello shots, and you can see there's kind of like a bit of a difference between the two. This one's quite strong here, actually. You can see the two different colors. But using the raspberry and the strawberry, they do have quite a similar color. But yeah, look at that one. You can really see how it's different. They kind of look a little bit chaotic. And I think this might have been a mistake in me not letting it cool too much, where it's kind of blending in with some of them. But yeah, so I've just loaded these up in the fridge again, and we're just going to leave these to set. And this time I'm not having to lean any of them because I just need a straight line, and that angle should have already done its work. As you can see, one of them is not as full because I ran out of jelly. But yeah, these are ready to leave to set, and then they're done. So now that they've set, this is what they are looking like. Sadly, the two-tone didn't really come out how I wanted it to, but there is a sort of ombre effect going on. I think using the raspberry and strawberry made it quite hard, and I think also I made a major mistake when I was pouring the raspberry. I think I didn't let it cool enough, and it's kind of mixed because of this. But they're cute. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will be serving up these Jello shots, and I'm sure they'll be going down very well. Please let me know in the comments if you decide to make Jello shots, and I hope they get a better two-tone look than mine did. But anyway, bye for now.